As promised, bit of value. We're all amateur musicians, some a bit more professional than others, but most of us make music at home or in a studio, whether also we're practicing our gigs, and we have to do show reels, and we do covers, and we're always doing stuff at home. And it was just by chance that, I've known Alex for a while, but Alex is head of audio at the SAE Institute here in Dubai. I've had the privilege to do sessions there, teaching. I know how skilled he is, and the amount of students that go through the SAE and become better audio engineers or just better at sound. This is outside my remit. He's going to know that's why I've got him here, so I'm not going to talk too much. So I'd just like to introduce Alex.
Hi.
Alex, would you like just start with, how you got to where you are today? Let's start with that.
Okay, so it's a massively long story, which none of us have got time for. Effectively, I've always been into sound and music, and thought that, that I would be something to do with the music industry. I really like using my ears in general, and I thought, therefore, that music would be towards my sort of career. I picked up a few musical instruments along the way, but I didn't really excel in anything. And so, life kind of just carried on, and I took up DJing about 25 years ago, and then that I was very, very happy just in my bedroom, with my gun fingers out. so that was good. And then cut to moving out to Dubai, and then the financial crash that we had, and lost my regularly paying sort of job. And it was at that point my parents said, well, why don't you go to university now? So I was at the ripe old age, about 24, and I thought, yeah, okay, let's do it, but let's do it in something I really want to do. And so I then went to SAE Institute in Oxford, and I got my bachelor's degree in audio engineering. And that's where it all kind of started for me, really. Again, when I walked in the door on my very first day, a little quick story about this, is that I remember meeting my classmates for the first time, and their topic of conversation was, what is your favorite compressor? And I said, what's a compressor? So that gives you a little bit of a level of where I was. Who knows what a compressor is? Yes, one person knows what a compressor is. Brilliant. I'm going to bore you to tears. No. That then started it. I wanted to then think, well, okay, recording studios, my thing, lovely big desks, that's what I want to do. But one of the really good things about SAE is we teach you the foundations of audio engineering as an entire industry. So it's not just about music, it's about sound for picture, it's about events and live sound, it's about or any sort of aspect, anything to do with sound at all, really. SAE gives you a really nice foundation to build on in any area that you kind of want to get into. So I fell in love with post-production audio, so that's sound for film in particular. That's my thing. I did my master's degree in post-production audio, but nevertheless, I still like mixing music. I love mastering music. Those are my two kind of specialities within the realm of music. Now, I'm not a producer. I never have been. I'm terrible at it, right? It doesn't mean that I don't know music, and I don't know good music, and I don't know how to make it better, let's say, from a sonic point of view. I don't improve people's music. I improve the way that it sounds. And that is something that I really want to kind of get across to musicians in general. I know a lot of musicians who mix and master their own stuff, and there is nothing wrong with doing that, but there's loads wrong with doing that. Now, all I'm saying to you guys right now is this is an option of what you can potentially do. In the world of audio, what I've learned over my 10 years of teaching is that you can accomplish what you want to accomplish in so many different ways, okay? The bottom line is, does it sound good? And from an audio engineer's point of view is, does it sound good and can I get it done quickly? Okay, so those are the kind of things. That's what I think differentiates really good engineers from really bad engineers, is they might come out and they might make something that sonically sounds the same, but one engineer has done it effectively and efficiently, and the other engineer has perhaps thrown a couple of extra steps in there that they didn't necessarily need to do, because they don't necessarily understand what exactly the process is. It does take decades to hone the skills of a mixing and mastering engineer. That's why you don't tend to get young mixing engineers, and it's definitely why you don't get any young mastering engineers. So one of the things that I really want to kind of say to you about your own music, if you can, get somebody else to mix it for you. Get somebody else to master it for you. Perhaps do your own mix, but then therefore don't do your own master, right? Or then, get somebody else to do your mix and then do your own master. We are very good as audio engineers at detaching ourselves from the music, from the song, and listening to the frequency content and the amplitude. It's a very strange world that us engineers kind of live in, and how we cross the kind of, we cross the boundary between music and engineering. We are genuinely engineers. It's the same people that build bridges approach that the same way that we look at a piece of music. It's about what makes up that piece of music. The concrete, the steel in that bridge, that's what we do. We look at frequency and amplitude amongst a number of other things. And so if you really want a mix to sound professional, let's say, give it to a proper audio engineer who's been doing it for a while, because they can detach themselves from the music. This music is your babies, right? You are so invested in your music, as well you should be. It sometimes means that you get a little bit over-focused or fixated with certain elements you've got within your track that you're trying to fix, or you're trying to make sound good, or something that you really want to keep because that's important to you and the song. It's a little bit like we cut through the bullshit. A little bit, right? We can take that and go, no, sonically that's not right because you've got this thing here and that thing there and that thing. And there's loads of technical terms and stuff that I could go into, but again, I won't really kind of bore you with that for now.
Could I just add, could you explain for those that are not quite, what is mixing and what is mastering?
Yeah.
For those that are even before that, because when you're recording on Ableton, Fruity Loops, Logic, whatever you're using.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you what. We'll go through kind of what the 3 steps. Okay. So this is kind of from an engineering point of view. Of course, you guys go through the kind of the concept stage, the writing stage, all of that stuff. From us, we start at the recording stage, and it is the most important stage. If you get your recording wrong, everything else sucks from that point. So you have to get your recording right. That is choosing the right microphones, understanding what gain staging is, and your levels, your input levels through perhaps if you're using a little audio interface as well, right? Just making sure that your signal isn't too quiet and definitely isn't too loud. And you do that with every instrument that you choose. And again, if you're producing on Ableton, Logic, whatever it is, that's relatively straightforward, quite easy to do, right? Because you haven't got any gain staging at all. It's a plug-in that goes there, signal level goes in, cool. So in theory, all of your faders should be at 0 once you've then created this track. The mix part is then I consider the mix part to be, I want to be able to hear every individual thing that is in your track. If I can't hear it, why is it there? So if it has a place, then it should be heard. So the idea of the mix is to change and adjust the levels and adjust frequency and amplitude content so that every single instrument is heard. That's your mix. Okay. You can then start to add effects and other things on top of it as well, things like reverb and so on, things like choruses and flanges and all that lovely funky stuff. And then you've got your finished mix. Now your finished mix shouldn't actually sound good. It should just have all of the elements in place where you need them to be at the levels that you want them. Then you move on to the mastering stage. And it's important to note that those 2 stages are different. The amount of music that I see some of my students make where they are doing their mix, they have a master fader full of plugins. Don't do that. It means that you are mastering while you are mixing. And if you go to the master fader and start making adjustments and you think, no, that's not quite right, they're then going back to what would be their mix and making adjustments, which then screws up the levels within your master. And people end up just bouncing backwards and forwards between the 2. Separate the 2 processes. Mix it first. By all means, have a master fader, chuck some plugins on it so you get an idea of what the master may sound like. But finish your mix, put it to one side, then start the mastering process. Now the mastering process is effectively just getting it ready for release, making it sound professional, making it sound like you want it to sound generally overall. I like to call it, if the mix is me separating all the instruments so that I can hear them all, the master is me gluing them back together to create a song. It's not about making the kick sound heavier. It's not about getting the vocal to necessarily stand out more from a mastering point of view. It's about sticking it back together after you've then mixed it. Does that make a lot of sense? Okay. And again, it's mix engineers and mastering engineers that will be able to do that better than you. Now, that's a general statement. I don't mean to put anybody's nose out of joint at all. But honestly, the value of doing that is tremendous. And if you've got a musician friend who mixes and masters, swap. That's a lovely little tip. Right? Give them your multi-track, your recording. Let them mix it. See, you mix it yourselves then as well, and you can hear the difference between the two. Different ears mean different things. And of course, all of this is entirely subjective. I could give you one of my best mixes and one of my best masters, and you could legitimately hate it, and that's absolutely fine. Right? Find somebody else. That's not a problem, right? It's your property. The music is yours, right? You should be getting what you want out of it. If an engineer is telling you that, no, you don't want to do that, you want to do it like this is the better way, listen to them, appreciate what they're saying, but if you disagree, you disagree. That's absolutely fine.
Awesome. So how would you set up your music ready for a mix down and then a master?
For a mix down, all you've really got to do is make sure that none of your individual instruments are clipping. Do you know what I mean by clipping? That's, for those that don't, it's basically maxing out. If there's any red at all on your mixing desk, you need to kind of get rid of that before it then goes to be mixed. It's not the most essential thing, because hopefully within the mix we can drop certain levels down for certain things, but if it's been recorded poorly, been recorded with distortion, turning it down after you've recorded it just means it's now quieter distortion. So it's still there, it's being recorded. So just make sure that your recording process is done really, really well before you then go to a mix down. It is way better to re-record than fix a bad recording. From then, in terms of if you finished your mix and you want it to then be mastered, the key term here is headroom. And that is basically, the headroom is the level where your system peaks and maxes out to the average level of your music. We need quite a lot of room to work as a mastering engineer. It is our job as a mastering engineer basically to turn your song up, to make it louder. Fundamentally speaking, that's what we're doing. We do throw in a little bit of flair, I guess you'd call it, here and there, chuck in some effects here and there maybe, just to kind of create an atmosphere. We will also talk to you about what you want from a master and try and deliver that for you as well, right? That's massively important. Reference tracks as well, massively important, really helpful for us engineers. I want my track to sound like this one. Brilliant, thank you. So yeah, headroom, in terms of mastering, headroom. And if you're going to give someone a session and there's a master fader on your mix that's full of plugins, delete every single one of the plugins, okay? And that's basically therefore ready for a master. Again, a bit more technical than that, but fundamentally speaking, that's what we need.
Awesome. And before we completely banzoo everyone, last question I wanted to ask, and just this quick chat, was how can you set up your bedroom, home studio, which many of us have. I mean, some are not making music, I understand on this one, but if you are making music at home, how can you set up your home studio?
Acoustics is a big thing. You can buy the most expensive studio monitors in the world, and if you put them in a bad room, they'll sound bad. Understanding acoustics is incredibly complicated. Whatever you do, don't chug egg boxes on your walls. It's a myth.
Why not?
It's a myth.
Everyone's got egg boxes.
Everybody's got egg boxes. What egg boxes do is what's called a diffuser, and that scatters sound, but it doesn't necessarily reduce overall reverb time. And that's what we're trying to get rid of when we acoustically treat a room. There's also things called standing waves and room modes and room nodes, which means that in certain areas of your room, you may have frequencies that stand out. It could be the fact that you'll make something in your room, you'll listen to it, you'll think it sounds great. You'll go to your friend's house, go, oh, listen to this. And it sounds completely different. It's the room, right? So mixing with headphones eliminates that, but you're gonna wanna be able to listen to it out of headphones as well. So if you are working on your music, you are mixing it, you are mastering it, and you don't have an acoustically treated room, I would recommend headphones would be your first port of call. Okay, it eliminates the room. There's other software out there as well. PreSonus makes some. I forgot what it's called now. A couple of companies make it, where it will measure what your room sounds like and then apply an EQ to your speakers to adjust it to help it get a bit more flat. But if you really want to acoustically treat your room on a budget, things like bookshelves act as diffusers and they break up standing waves. Win. Things like sellotaping a duvet to your wall works brilliantly, right? Opening your wardrobe and putting your microphone inside your wardrobe that's full of clothes, great idea, okay? Anything that you can do to dampen down reflections potentially can help you out. Because again, if you record the reverb of your room, it's very difficult to take that out in the mixing or in the processing kind of stage. Or buy a recording studio. one of those things.
Or hire Alex.
Yeah, could do that.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you.
No, thank you, mate.
I hope that was a little bit of some knowledge there. If you've got any...
thank you, guys.
Thank you. Feel free to Q&A.
Yeah.
Step away, it's all yours. So 5-10 minutes.
Yes, bud.
Convinced. We need mixing and mastering. So
let me give you my card.
yes, that's a good start.
No, well, there's a few there. Thank you. Was there an actual question or was...
No, I mean,
okay.
if you can link us with mixing and mastering.
Yeah, well, here's the cool thing as well, right? So not only is SAE better than Berkeley, sorry. Sorry, I had to.
You've been waiting all night.
I had to. I have literally. I wrote it down about 3 times. No.
But this is with SAE, not directly with you, right?
That is actually my mobile number, and my email address is on there as well. Toby also has my email address, so if anybody wants to get in touch, please feel free. I have a building that is 7 minutes drive in a direction that way, I think, with 5 recording studios in it and about 100 audio students. They are constantly on the lookout for people to record for their own projects, for their own stuff as well. So, you know, if you are interested in getting some recording done and you don't mind it being done by students, hit me up. I can get you in touch with whoever and you can get in the studio.
Yeah, I thought that would happen. Yeah.
I don't know why I brought so few actually, but yeah, I am also available too. I can get people into the studios that we've got, and I can do recording and stuff as well. Yeah. I'm absolutely happy to do that.
I have a thing later on called the Rolodex. I'll explain.
Yeah.
You'll get all this information sent out to you.
Yeah, cool. Good question.
By a certain method.
20%
Please.
My question is mixing and mastering subjective or objective?
Subjective.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you know who is the right mixer and master to go to? Is it subjective to the person's background or the type of music that they listen to?
It is, but it shouldn't be. Again, we have this brilliant ability to be able to turn that off. Like, what would be my probably worst music genre? That might go for a while. Let's just say you give me whatever my worst music genre is, right? I should have the ability as an professional engineer to switch off the fact that I don't like it and deliver you a good quality mix and or master, okay? Because I'm assessing it from a sonic point of view. I'm looking at it technically. I'm not looking at it musically. So I should be able to do that. However, if you handed me a drum and bass track, not only are you my best friend, right? You know, my love is that type of music, is that I know a lot about that music, and therefore I would probably do a better job because I can not only think about it technically, I can also think about it musically. So we.
It's the jungle t-shirt, right?
Oh yes, exactly. Thank you very much. I forgot I was wearing it. But what was I going to say? I don't know. Train of thought's completely gone then. Just went. You said jungle t-shirt, and my brain went. Yeah.
Was your question answered?
Yeah.
So it's better to find someone who likes that type of music then?
Yeah, it kind of is. So, but here's the thing as well: is that if you look at any artist and you look at who mixed and mastered their first album and who mixed and mastered their second, third, fourth, fifth, they're all different. Okay. Because albums have themes, right? Okay. Kind of, or they have a concept behind them, or they have a vibe. Let's call it that, right? Certain mixing and mastering engineers will specialize in that particular sound, let's call it, right? And so, yeah, it's about looking at an engineer's portfolio. And so if you like some of the stuff they've done and the genre is similar to what you want, then go for it, you know? If you wanted to make a reggae album but you wanted it to sound really grimy and dirty, maybe go to someone who's a metal producer or who mixes metal, right? They're going to come at it from a really interesting point of view if they're willing to do it. So you can make creative choices at every single step of the way. Okay, cool, no worries. Yes, bud.
So if we want to take one step back to zoom out, especially in the past 50 years in music, if we want to compare the way organic instruments were recorded versus electronically sampled or produced sound or synthesized, would you say these are two different schools? So someone who like Chris Lord Alge would mix for Green Day, as opposed to someone who would mix for The Weeknd's latest record. Are these fundamentally different schools of thought, or you could have like middle ground?
Fundamentally, no. We basically operate in the world of physics. That, you know, we look at waves and we look at measurable things, frequency and amplitude mainly. So, and we also know how the human ear works as well. We know what our various frequency responses are, and then we can use that knowledge to create a certain sound. Recording, on the other hand, that's a bit different. Okay, and of course, technology changes everything. Better microphones, better preamps, the digital revolution, all of these things have made audio quality much better, and our ability to manipulate audio even easier. So again, recording much more important. The schools of thought principally are basically the same. But again, like I said before, there's so many ways you can reach the same result, and that you can have someone that uses this EQ and someone that uses a completely different EQ, and they get to the same point at the end. Or two completely different points, and then somebody picks the one they like the most. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Excuse me. What do you think about AI mastering?
Okay.
Buckle up.
Trying not to swear. Okay. It is. Okay.
It's got a place, no?
I know. I believe so.
It's got a place.
I do. I believe so. I have a love-hate relationship with AI, especially generative AI, because all of my students use it to cheat. And so, you know, that sucks. You know, I've got a guy who's like, you know, only just left wherever he's from, and you know, it's beautifully written. Something's up. But in terms of the technology being used to master AI mastering, does it sound good? And if the answer is yes, then it's done a good job. And if it's taken you 5 minutes to do, brilliant. You could say the same thing about presets. You know, you open up an EQ and it goes acoustic guitar, and you go, yes, please. And now your acoustic guitar sounds good. Does it sound the best? Maybe not. So, but you use it as a template, and then you work from that. So I would 100% give mastering and mixing as well, AI stuff, a go. I do use it from time to time, but I use it as what I call an A/B. So I'll do mine, and then I'll get it to do something, and I'll compare the two. And I'll say, well, what's it done that I haven't done, and do I prefer it? And then I will do it then, even copy it to a certain extent, or do it to mine to a level that I'm happy with. But again, as it is subjective, with AI, we'll probably just churn out a similar result every time. Oh, it'll be this loudness, and the frequency response will be this. And so I haven't had a lot of experience with it. But again, if you press the button and what came out you really liked, and the levels were the right levels for things like Spotify or whatever, go for it, use it.
Okay. And when industry standards are mastered, do they try to master at like 10 lux or 11 lux?
It
A battle of loudness. What is it?
Well, the loudness war is still going on. And for those of you that don't know about the loudness war, it kind of started in the late 80s, 90s, where everybody just made everything louder, so your music would stand out on the radio. And it got to a point where all the record labels just sort of went, okay, everybody time out, because it was getting stupid. It really, really was. There was no dynamic range in anything. Everything was distorted. Everything was brick wall limited. It was awful. Quality, the overall quality of music really, really suffered for it. Problem was, no one really cared enough. There's a great Metallica example of one of their Death Magnetic, and around about 250,000 fans signed a petition to have it remastered. But it was sold multiple millions of times, and so only 250,000 complained, and so nothing was ever really done about it. It did end up getting a remaster a little bit later on, but yeah, just to give you an idea of that. LUFS are now helping an enormous amount. It depends on what you are mastering for. So for example, Spotify might want a particular level, YouTube might want a particular overall level. Yeah, as long as you are using some sort of standard, it's better than no standard at all. So it could be the ITB standard, it could be that there's loads of different ones. Minus 12 LUFS is a good level to go to. If you want something a bit more dynamic, minus 14. Those are good standards to have. I'm sure if you then gave it, okay, here you go, Spotify, they'll just normalize it and crank it up. But there's nothing you can really do to avoid that.
And I want to say, sorry for asking so many questions.
No, man, problem.
I think it's important that I ask this final one. What is spatial audio?
Okay. Spatial, well, we've all heard of 8D audio. I think Apple Music was doing it for a while. I don't get it. I don't get the experience either. But spatial audio is basically where you can wear headphones and you can have audio images where things move around you quite a lot. We have, in the audio industry, we've mixed music in 5.1 for years, and 5.1 surround sound, so cinema style sound, a center speaker, left, right, rear, right, and a sub. And that can generate some really interesting effects. It tends to be done alongside a stereo master as like a little bit of an added bonus and a little bit of a different experience. But you can sit without headphones on and enjoy a 5.1 surround sound mix. They tend not to be too creative though. They tend to be just a little bit weird for the sake of it, which I think is absolutely fine. But one of the things that is happening now with terms of spatial audio is we have this thing called binaural recording. A lot of the ASMR stuff are using this stuff. They're like microphones that've got two really real-looking ears on it, right? And that actually mimics the way we hear remarkably well. Microphone company Neumann make dummy head microphones, which is a head that has two anatomically correct ears and two microphones inside ear canals inside it. And if you walk around it while making noise and then put headphones on, it will sound like that person is walking around you. It's incredibly fooling. It's incredibly accurate as well. So you could absolutely use this spatial audio stuff to create really interesting surround effects. Rode have a plugin as well that they're using now, Omnisphere, I believe. Oh, no, that's a synth. So it's Omni something that it's called. Yeah, Rode are making it in really interesting stuff.
Thank you. Any more questions? I'm conscious that it's 9 o'clock. Why don't you have a quick more chat, and then if you want me to talk about some marketing later on in about half an hour, or we can network until 10 and we can do like I can stay on. It's up to you. You tell me. But hopefully that was really helpful. Thank you, Alex, for coming down.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you.
It started to blow my mind a little bit. Yeah, I'm a simple guy. But I hope you got some simple knowledge and things that you can implement at home. And that's the main thing you can think about. So thank you. So grab your drinks, have a chat. Any questions? I'm sure Alex can stick around for 10 minutes and have another questions. But
I got a question.
You got a question.
How many of you wear earplugs?
Where what?
Earplugs. You lunatics. These are 1,000 dirhams. That's a lot of money, but they are custom molded earplugs that give me minus 15 dB everywhere I go, basically. The most important piece of audio equipment is your ears. Look after them. If you lose your ability to hear, then good luck having any sort of accuracy in terms of what you are listening to, producing, creating. any sort of earplugs at all is better than no earplugs. And if you don't have anything at all, take regular breaks if you're in loud environments. Shit.
In what occasions do you need to wear?
I wear these I wear these in nightclubs. I wear these DJing. I wear it anywhere I go. Oh, that's a bit loud.
Okay.
They go in.
Where
These.
do you get those?
I am actually in the process of getting trained up to make them myself. But at the moment, there's a guy called Adam Rhodes.
I did not.
At the moment, there's a guy called Adam Rhodes. He made these for me. They also do amazing in-ear monitors as well. So in-ear monitors that are custom fitted to your ears. So those are fantastic. Again, if you don't use in-ear monitors, you should do, because again, it reduces overall SPL that's going into your ear head holes, which is only really a good thing. They take around about 5 minutes to get used to, right? It does change the sonic characteristics of sound, but not much. And I swear by these. I wear them religiously. And it is also quite funny when I'm in a nightclub that I have to unscrew this, and I pop one out, and the one always gets stuck at the bottom, so I have to get my key out. I get looks by security. But I'm like, no, brother. Honestly, it's just another earphone. But yeah, for me to you, it's just another free bit. Look after your ears.
What's the brand name you said?
Well, Adam Rhodes is the guy who makes them. He had a company called Adam Rhodes Ears, but he now works for a large production company and doesn't really have an enormous amount of time to do it. I'm looking at getting people that can provide this kind of service in the UAE. I'm early stages yet. These were 1,000 dirhams. Just under 1,000, and that was for the silicon and the scan. The Adam will still have my scan as well on his computer. So if I ever want in-ear monitors or ever want a new pair, I don't have to get molds done again. He can just send the scans off to whatever company he uses, and a couple of weeks later they arrive in the post. If you want to have a look, feel free. I mean, they've been inside my head, but yeah, but yeah, that's them. I have incredibly narrow ear canals as well. So that's them. The important bit. That was the important bit that I nearly lost. Is that's the filter. Okay, that's the thing that kind of saves you. Yeah, well, don't pop them out as well. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, exactly. So that's the important bit. That's what really does. And you can get different ones. You can get like -60 dB, -15, -21, various different levels of overall reduction.
The latency for Bluetooth connection.
Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to make that point. Sorry, did you have another question?
Yeah. So as a DJ, what in-ear headphones do you recommend which are going to protect your ears?
I don't have any recommendations for in-ears. It's massively subjective. Also, DJ headphones that are designed for DJing are terrible for your ears because they're low end boosted,
Yes.
so that you can hear the kicks, so you can beat match.
Yes.
So you can beat match people, DJs. Yeah. I do use the sync button. That's because I've used belt drive DJs for 20 years. I'm allowed. But yeah. So
Any recommendations from you, though?
in terms of brands, I love Sennheiser.
Okay.
That's my go-to headphone brand overall. But there are so many companies that make good products. Sony make great DJ headphones. Always have done.
In-ears, though. Yeah.
But for in-ears, there's a few companies designated in-ears. There's a few that's out there. I can't give any recommendations right now. But yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Sorry. Thank you.
All good? Go and grab a drink. We'll reconvene. Thanks.